Hello, this is Chapter 13, The Strategy of International Business. Our learning objectives today are explain the concept of global strategy, recognize how firms can profit by expanding globally, understand how pressures for cost reductions and local responsiveness influence strategic choice, and lastly, identify and choose the different global strategies for competing in the global marketplace. Introduction. Shift focus from macro environment to the firm itself. International business strategy comprised of strategy, international environment, and firm performance. How organizations can increase their profitability by expanding their operations in foreign markets, and the pros and cons of various international strategies. Strategy and the firm. The basic principles of strategy. Strategy refers to actions that managers take to attain the goals of the firm. The goal is to maximize the value of the firm for owners and shareholders. Profitability is the rate of return a firm makes on its invested capital. Profit growth measures percentage increase in net profits over time. What are the determinants of enterprise value? Well, here's enterprise valuation. Let me just get my cursor here. Here's enterprise valuation, and then you have profitability and then profitability growth. Profitability is how you can reduce your costs and how you can add value and raise prices. Profit growth is sell more in existing markets and then enter new markets. Value creation is measured by difference between the firm's costs of production and the quality that consumers perceive in its products. The more value customers place on a firm's products, the higher the price the firm can charge for those products. And it's measured by the difference between V, value, and C, cost. Porter has two strategies, low cost and differentiation. And here we have a chart here for value creation. V is the value of a product to an average customer. P is the price per unit. C is the cost of production per unit. V minus P equals the consumer surplus unit. And P minus C equal profit per unit sold. And V minus C is equal to the value created per unit. Strategic positioning. Porter states that a firm should be explicit about choice of strategic emphasis regarding value creation or differentiation and low cost. A firm should configure its internal operations to support that strategic emphasis. Efficiency frontier shows all positions a firm can adopt regarding added value to the product and low cost. So this is increased value and differentiation here. And then you've got different hotels here. The Four Seasons, Efficiency Frontier is here, Marriott's here. Strategic choices in this area not viable in international hotel industry. You have high cost and low cost. And you can see the difference in some of these hotels in terms of the cost and also what you get for your money. The Four Seasons, you know you're going to have a fine stay there. Strategy and the firm. Strategic positioning continued here. So to maximize profitability, a firm must, one, pick a position on the efficiency frontier that is viable because there is enough demand to support that choice. Two, configure its internal operations, such as manufacturing, marketing, logistics, information systems, human resource, etc., so that they support that position. Three, make sure firm has the right organization structure in place to execute the strategy. There's no point in having a strategy, but you don't have the resources to implement it. So strategy, operation, and organization of firm must all be consistent with each other if it is to attain a competitive advantage and garner superior profitability. Also, all of these areas here need to align together as well. Operations, the firm as a value chain. Value creation activities include production, marketing and sales, materials management, research and development, human resources, information systems, and infrastructure. And here's the value chain here. These are all support activities. So the company infrastructure has logistics, human resources, information system. Information systems help with R&D, production, marketing and sales, and customer service. These are the primary. If a company can't do any of these, they can always outsource it to an expert. Operations, the firm as value chain continued. The primary activities include design, creation, and delivery of the product. marketing, support, and after-sale service. R&D is concerned with the design of products and production processes. Production is concerned with the creation of a good or service. Marketing and sales can increase perceived value of a product and discover customer needs. And service activity provides after-sale service and support. Support activities include provide inputs that allow the primary activities to occur. Information systems can alter efficiency and effectiveness with which a firm manages its other value creation activities. Logistics controls transmission of physical materials through the value chain. And human resources ensures company has the right mix of skilled people and ensures adequate training, motivation, and compensation. Infrastructure includes organization structure, control systems, and the culture of the firm. Global expansion, profitability, and profit growth. International firms are able to expand potential size of market for domestic products, realize location economies, and realize greater cost economies from experience effects, and also earn a greater return on investment. Expanding the market, taking goods or services developed at home and then selling them internationally, basically taking it on the road. Also based on core competencies. It can exist in any of a firm's value creation activities. Bedrock of a firm's competitive advantage. If a company has a competitive advantage, it's in their best interest to exploit that competitive advantage, whether it's just domestically or even on an international front. Successful firms transfer core competencies to foreign markets where indigenous competitors lack comparable competencies. Location economies that arise from performing a value creation activity in the optimal location for their activity, can lower the cost of value creation and help the firm achieve a low-cost position and competitive advantage. It can enable a firm to differentiate its product offering from those of competitors. Creating a global web. When different stages of the value chain are dispersed to locations around the globe where value added is maximized or costs of value are minimized, it should create a competitive advantage and should be able to better differentiate product offering, thereby receiving value P and lower cost structures C than a single location competitor. There are some caveats, however. For instance, transportation costs, trade barriers, plus political and economic risks complicate the benefits of location economies. Experience effects. The experience curve, systematic reductions in production costs that have been observed to occur over the life of a product. Learning effects, labor productivity and management efficiency. And then economies of scale. It lowers a firm's unit costs and increases its profitability. It may not be possible unless a firm serves global markets because they have bargaining power with suppliers. Strategic significance. Moving down the experience curve allows a firm to reduce its cost of creating value and increase its profitability. Rapid movement down experience curve increases cost advantage. Firms that serve a global market from a single location can build accumulated volume much more quickly. An established low-cost position can act as a barrier to new competition. Here's the experience curve again. Unit costs significantly go down and cumulative output increases. Strategic significance. Moving down the experience curve allows a firm to reduce its cost of creating value and increase its profitability. Rapid movement down experience curve increases cost advantage. Firm that serves a global market from a single location can build accumulated volume more quickly. An established low-cost position can act as barrier to new competition. And also leveraging subsidiary skills. In mature multinationals, development of valuable skills can occur in foreign subsidiaries. Leveraging skills created within subsidiaries and applying them to other operations within the firm's global network may create value. Multinational enterprise managers must recognize that valuable skills that lead to competencies can arise anywhere within the firm's global network, not just at the corporate center. And they also must recognize that wherever it happens, and then they should scale up whatever that advantage is and spread it out to the rest of the firm. Establish an incentive system that encourages local employees to acquire new skills. Have a process for identifying when valuable new skills have been created in a subsidiary. Act as facilitators, helping transfer valuable skills within the firm. Because if you develop that in one location, the quicker and faster that you can transfer that throughout the organization will give you a much more competitive advantage. Profitability and growth summary. Firms that expand globally can increase profitability and profit growth by entering new markets where competitors lack similar competencies, lowering costs and adding value to product offering through location economies, and exploiting experience curve effects and the transfer of valuable skills between subsidiaries. There is pressure for cost reductions. It requires a firm to try to lower the cost of value creation, greater in industries producing commodity-type products. Universal needs, when the tastes and preferences of consumers in different nations are similar, if not identical. For example, steel or sugar. These basically are commodities. Also, intense in industries where major competitors are based in low-cost locations, where there is persistent excess capacity, and where consumers are powerful and face low switching costs. Pressures for cost reductions and local responsiveness. You have firm A, B, and C, and then the pressures for cost reduction is high, and then the pressures for local responsiveness is high also. Differences in customer tastes and preferences. Customer demands for local customization are on the decline worldwide in some markets. Significant differences in consumer needs, wants, tastes still exist across cultures. The differences in infrastructure and traditional practices may require the delegation of manufacturing and production functions to foreign subsidiaries. For example, technical standards. Traditional practices also often vary across nations. May necessitate a delegation of marketing functions to national subsidiaries. Then you have something called host government demands, economic and political demands by host country governments. Threats of protectionism, economic nationalism, and local content rules dictate that international businesses manufacture locally. The rise of regionalism, a tendency toward the convergence of tastes, preferences, infrastructure, distribution channels, and host government demands with a broader region composed of two or more nations. For example, the EU or North America or Latin America. The ability to standardize a product within a region allows for greater scale of economies and lower costs. Choosing a strategy. The need to customize product to local conditions may work against the implementation of a global standardization strategy. Concessions may need to be made to local conditions and requires a cost-benefit analysis and opportunity assessment. For international strategies, you got a global standardization, you have a localization strategy, transnational strategy, and an international strategy. And let's take a look at the four basic strategies. The global standardization strategy, it looks to reap cost reductions that come from economies of scale, learning effects, and location economies. The goal is to pursue low-cost strategy on a global scale. Production, marketing, R&D, and supply chain activities are concentrated in a few favorable locations. It also avoids customization, and it makes sense when there are strong pressures for cost reductions and demands for local responsiveness are minimal. Localization strategy customizes goods or services so that they are a good match to tastes and preferences in different national markets. Most appropriate when substantial differences across nations regarding consumer tastes and preferences. Cost pressures are not too intense, and customization limits the ability to capture the cost reductions associated with mass producing a standardized product for global consumption. Transnational strategy shows that you achieve low cost and differentiate product offerings to account for local differences, foster multi-directional flow of skills between subsidiaries. It makes most sense when demand for local responsiveness are high, but cost pressures are moderate or low. Places conflicting demands on the company. This differentiating product to respond to local demands in different geographical markets raises costs, which runs counter to the goal of reducing overall costs. They also are complex and challenging to achieve. International strategy is taking products developed for domestic market and selling them internationally with minimal local customization. For firms with low-cost pressures and low pressures for local responsiveness. It tends to centralize product development functions such as R&D at home, but establish manufacturing and marketing functions in each major country or geographic region in which they do business. Resulting duplication may raise costs. The evolution of strategy. International strategy may not work long term. Over time, competitors will merge. Firms may need to shift to global standardization or transnational strategy in advance of competitors. Localization strategy may also face competitors and have to shift to a transnational strategy. And international and localization strategy is less viable as competitors emerge. You can see how we change strategies from low to high and high to low with different pressures for cost reductions as well as pressures for local responsiveness. The 360 view, impact of macro environment, cross-border trade, investment, and strategy. Change in rules governing international trade and investment can affect the viability of different strategies. Over time, there has been progressive lowering of barriers to cross-border trade and investment. It's easier to realize location economies and global web of productive activities, increase the attractiveness of global standardization strategy and transnational strategy. Cross-border trade, investment, and strategy continued. We have recent actions under the Trump administration to increase barriers to cross-border trade. More difficult to attain location economies, harder to establish global web of productive activities. More challenging and less attractive to implement global standardization strategy and transnational strategy. Economic nationalism may make localization strategy necessary or a multi-regional version of a localization strategy. Actions so far have concentrated on goods, not services. Exogenous shocks and strategies. War, terrorism, the impact of climate change, or the emergence of novel diseases could easily change the trade and investment environment and affect strategic choices. Just look at how COVID-19 impacted the entire world. Global supply chains are vulnerable to disruption and increases attractiveness of localization strategy based on either national or regional trading blocks. I thank you for listening.